Hello and very welcome to the November release of Wechsler Consulting Cloud News. I'm your host Alexander Wechsler and I'm very happy to present you some of the interesting new developments which happened in the cloud and specifically Azure during the last month. As always, we're going to start with our Azure Talk section, specifying the highlights of the last month. Before we turn to our focus topic, which is the Pluton processor, a new hard and software security solution provided by Microsoft together with Silicon vendors. Everybody's talking about the climate change, and rest assured I do believe the climate change is real, and the only way we will be able to cope with this very unpleasant development is to transform our businesses to be at least carbon neutral. Microsoft just recently has built some Azure data centers in Sweden, and the good thing is that together with their energy partner Vattenfall, they were able to provide a setup which guarantees these data centers mainly run on renewable energy. And that's absolutely great and a step into the right direction, I think. But we also had technical developments last month. One very interesting identity service is Azure Active Directory B2C. Don't confuse it with Azure Active Directory B2B, which is a normal company directory. B2C is a directory which, for example, can be used to create multi-tenant applications, web applications, frontends, and so on, or even APIs, where you are able to use the identity infrastructure of Azure Active Directory to authenticate your users. In the past, customizing user flows or doing custom user flows, user journeys, they call it in Azure Active Directory B2C, has been quite some pain because it's very technical. The documentation is not really always so great. Therefore, creating your own user journeys was not always fun. But now there have been some interesting developments specifically on this feature because Microsoft is providing API connectors you can use in combination with very well working built-in user flows. And this enables you to integrate your own APIs or Azure Functions and Logic apps into a user journey. A lot of new developments have been made last month also in Azure IoT. I'm going to start with the Azure IoT plug-and-play bridge, which is a new open source framework written by Microsoft and also available on GitHub. It's a C++ based framework which runs on Windows and Linux and enables you to create gateways for your sensors. So if you have a Windows machine or a Linux machine, you want to connect sensors which maybe have no network card, communicate via serial bus, via Bluetooth, and so on. For all these different types of protocols, Microsoft is providing adapters which make it easy to send the data you get from these specific sensors into Azure IoT Hub, and by doing this into your solution. That's really great if you want to transform legacy solutions into a cloud-ready offering. Very interesting scenarios also are created by using Azure Sphere in combination with cellular connectivity. Several vendors jumped on the train and are now providing cellular connectivity modules for Azure Sphere, which help you to create very secure and robust IoT solutions, which now, using the cellular connectivity, are also easier to deploy in mobile scenarios. And last but not least, in Azure Talk, there's a new Azure IoT pricing for Azure IoT Central, and this pricing is especially interesting to devices which only send a few messages per day. There's a new pricing plan out which allows up to 400 messages to be sent by a device per month for 4 € only. And this is really compelling in scenarios, for example, like building automation, fleet management, and so on, where you have devices which not necessarily send data in short intervals. For example, because they only send out alarms or warnings or similar messages. And this is a great enabler, so just have a look into that as well. But this is not the only news around Azure IoT Central. There also have been some quite interesting updates, especially around device jobs. The ability to use authorized webhooks and the IoT Central dashboard has been improved as well. So I recommend to have a look. Azure IoT Central is really growing into a more and more serious and robust business solution nowadays. For example, the renewable energy data centers in Sweden are monitored via an Azure IoT Central based solution, and this may be interesting to know. The focus topic of Wechsler Consulting Cloud News in November is Microsoft Pluton. And Microsoft Pluton is a very interesting product because it's not software and it's not hardware alone. It's hard and software combined. So what does that mean? Well, it means that Microsoft, together with silicon vendors, is providing a security chip along with firmware and operating system to secure your laptop. It's an evolution from the security chip which originated in Xbox and is also heavily used in Azure Sphere. And this solution has been very successful securing devices. It has never been hacked, so the Xbox as well as Azure Sphere devices never have been hacked up to now. Well, never say never, but at the present state, this is the most secure approach to secure your devices. It eliminates possible physical attacks because Microsoft Pluton is system on chip, which means that in contrast to current solutions, for example, such as a TPM, the Trusted Platform Module, there's no bus system between the processor and the security chip because everything is on the same die, on the same silicon plate. Therefore, it's very, very hard, if not impossible, to do a physical attack here. Especially TPMs have been facing attacks on the bus between the chip and the TPM recently if intruders got physical access to the device. On Microsoft Pluton, the cryptographic keys are very safe because private keys never leave the chip. So nobody ever sees the private key, and you're only able to call cryptographic functionality on the chip, for example, to sign, to encrypt files or messages to be used for secure communication. On that system on a chip, OS core and security cores are strictly separated, which is also an additional security feature because no buffer overflows, for example, are able to punch holes into your security layers. And while it is good to have a system on a chip together with a tailored software stack on the device, in the cloud age we're now living, that's not enough. What you also need is a security service in the cloud, and Microsoft Pluton is also providing this. So we're going to have a secure Pluton cloud service which enables updates as well as maintenance of the security subsystem. And these updates can only be done by the security team of Microsoft. By doing this, Microsoft wants to guarantee that only certified firmware as well as operating system software can be deployed onto their Pluton device. While this sounds like a future scenario, I found that Azure Sphere is already protecting Azure data centers, which might also be interesting to know. And if you're interested, you can read the blog post provided below, which shows that Azure Sphere is already an essential tool in managing Azure data centers by providing secure connectivity. All right, what else happened during the last month at Wechsler Consulting? Well, we've got some new blog posts out. One is dedicated to the Azure IoT Central updates I've mentioned also in Azure Talk. As already stated, there are some new and interesting features in there. .NET 5.0 is out. And that's great, of course, because it's the new .NET development platform runtime and SDK, which is built completely on .NET Core. So a lot of the past renderings of Microsoft have now been recombined or merged into one common runtime again, which is a great thing. It's not completely done yet, and the naming is absolutely confusing and crazy. I've written about that in the blog, so just check it out. That's it for this month's episode. I hope you find the information useful, and if there are any questions, please leave a message below. Thanks a lot and goodbye from Alexander Wechsler.